Hello and welcome back to Zenin Fanfics. Today we're starting an exciting new series, What If Female Deku Was a Stray Cat? If you enjoy this video, please like and subscribe for more content. The story we are featuring is written by the Weird 10209 on Wattpad. You can find all the relevant links in the description, so be sure to check out the author's profile and say hello. Now, let's dive into the story. Backstory: Izuku was born with cat ears, a tail and other features. Her mother was surprised but was overwhelmed with joy to see such an adorable bundle of fluff. The doctor said that sometimes mutations can occur due to trauma or a strong love for something that the parent of the child had. Hisashi Midoriya had a quirk marriage and was abandoned by her useless husband on the spot when he found out that she was pregnant with another man. He gave a chance, saying that he would consider being with her if she puts her baby up for adoption. Inko, being the lovely woman she was, refused. Hisashi left her on the spot. She wasn't going to give away the only evidence of the appealing love she once shared with a seemingly cold-hearted man that was probably the biggest softie she had ever had the chance to know. She contemplated whether to tell him. She wondered what she would tell him. She wondered how he would react. She felt as though she was falling into a deep dark abyss that had no light. She would continue, and ever so often the little kicks she would feel inside her kept kicking her forward. Literally. She had support from her close friend Mitsuki Bakugo, who would be due soon before her. Believing that her baby would be a boy just like Mitsuki, she had already named it. She thought about what her child's last name should be. She let out a sigh. She didn't want to put down the name of the man that abandoned her. Her parents had abandoned her, and so they wouldn't let her use her maiden name. There was only one other name there was. They were related by blood after all. Mitsuki just told her to put the DMN name down, and so she did. Legally her child would be Izuku Aizawa. But the child will use Midoriya while growing up. She needed tell the pro hero. But then he was a pro hero, having a family would cause him trouble. She thought and said nothing. When her baby was born, she was at first surprised when it turned out her baby was a girl. She thought of changing her name but then saw the mischief she would unleash on the world and decided against it. When she heard the explanation about the mutant features, she just sighed. Aizawa Shoyuta loved cats more than himself. Things were looking great for them. As Izuku was growing up, Inko was reminded of Eraserhead. Their sleeping habits was the same, the cheeky mischief and insomnia. She was starting to worry about that fact and took her to the doctor only to find out she the erasure quirk. A side effect was the insomnia. She had decided to tell the erasure hero, but then just when things had been looking up for her, Hisashi came back. Everything had begun to go downhill from there. When Izuku was 6, she witnessed her mother get beaten by the man that claimed to be her father. She too was abused. Had all sorts of things injected into her. She didn't know what they were, but Hisashi knew. She knew he wasn't her father. His scent was revolting. He wasn't the kind man that her mother would talk about. For her age, she was smart enough to read between the lines. The man her mother would speak of may seem grumpy, but he would never raise a hand, compared to the vile man before her. See her mother's tears of pain. She erased his quirk he was using against her mother. This man needed to get out. Izuku was a mutant. She was just as strong as an adult. She went feral, attacking Hisashi. Heightened senses, strength and agility with the power to make another lose their quirk. She got in between her mother and Hisashi. She launched at the vile man. He tried use his fire breath only to see nothing come out. She clawed at the man. With her retractable claws. She was sure she did permanent damage to his eye. Hisashi ran out, and immediately the 6-year-old, her aunt Mitsuki, the woman, then called the police and rushed over. Izuku was done with keeping the beating of her mother a secret. They were put under a protection order thanks to a very convincing and menacing friend. Izuku thought that their life would start looking up again. But she was wrong. One night while sleeping she heard a break-in. She was never a deep sleeper. Her feline senses ran wild as they alerted her of danger. She quickly ran to her mother's room only to find her lying on the floor. Cold and no sign of movement. A letter in her hand. Izuku saw a knife in her back. Her mother was murdered. She went to her. Not wanting to believe what she was looking at. Blank, faded green eyes stared back at her. She stared in horror, then a familiar scent came to her. On instinct she jumped back, taking the letter in her mother's hand with her to see a one-eyed Hisashi Midoriya in the dark. She wanted to fight him, but she knew she wouldn't win, and so she fled, jumping out the window and into the night, crying and mourning her mother's death as she went to look for help. It had been a month since Izuku witnessed her mother's death. The news had showed the whole building burned down. Hisashi had burned it down. The thought of his name made her insides boil. She still fought for life, holding everything she had in an old worn-out backpack that contained an extra pair of clothes and very little food with the letter her mother had written for a man named Aizawa Shoyuta. She remembered a conversation her mother had with her aunt. She was yelling her mother to tell this man already. Izuku didn't know what they were talking about, and her mother gave in saying that she would write a letter. That letter never making it to the man. Aizawa POV: a month ago I was watching the news and then it turned to a report about an apartment building that was burned down. The victims were being shown. Believing I knew no one, I nonchalantly drank my coffee until it began showing the picture of the victims. It was then my heart stopped. It was beating still, but I was pretty sure I died. The picture of the woman I loved. I had keeping tabs on her ever since we broke up, but I was never prepared to see this. Or feel this pain in my chest. I clenched my chest, nothing was going in my lungs. They burned as hot tears welled up. I broke away from the screen and called the woman that was Inko's best friend. The woman had picked up yelling at me about being an unknown caller. I just asked if it was real. If the news was telling the truth. The other line was quiet. The woman seemed to have picked up who I was. Mistuki: a month ago when the man on the other line asked if the news was telling the truth, I didn't need to bother asking again who the man was. I willed myself not to cry. The man's voice was panicked and desperate. I couldn't bring myself to answer. Masaru came in and saw me in my depressingly weak state. I couldn't convey this message, it was too hard. He took the phone and asked who it was. He was greeted with question about Inko. He took it upon himself and related the message. There was a sound that sounded like the phone falling to the floor. There was a thud which worried the man. A scream was heard on the other side. A cry of anguish. Masaru couldn't bear to hear it and ended the call. He took me into his arms and let me cry on his shoulder. My baby Katsuki was also in shock. Izuku, his only friend, had disappeared without a trace. She couldn't bear to witness the breakdown of her friend's lover when he finds out he also lost a child that night. Aizawa POV: I was there for her funeral. She had many friends, many not recognizing who I was. I had kept tabs, but not too much I regretted. I learned of the abuse, her pathetic excuse of a husband burrow upon her. How she and her child had to live with such a must. The kid had gone missing that night. I wanted answers. The fire was caused by a quirk. It could have been that kid. I learned that Inko's husband had a fire quirk. The fire was started by a quirk and kid goes missing. Father like child, I thought. I was angry and had begun my search. My search for the man named Hisashi Midoriya and the kid Izuku Midoriya. A picture of both. The child looked a lot like Inko with no resemblance to Hisashi Midoriya. It was just my luck when I spotted the green furball. Walking in the shadows, ears down and tail down. Izuku POV: I couldn't find help and it was all Hisashi's fault. He killed my mom. He burned my home. And I'm lost in this world. I can't seem to find my way. But I will always remember my mom. Always smile when you're down, always smile when I the face of danger. Show the world you're not afraid. I made a decision to find this Aizawa Shoyuta. Mom wrote a letter for him and so he deserves to read the message since it was probably some of her last words. It had gotten dark and I was returning to where I slept. It was just a box in an alleyway that had enough cover from the rain. My ears perked up when I had someone behind me. I leapt back and hissed at the man. Nobody POV: Aizawa approached the child only to hear the child react quickly and jump back. She was a mutant after all. The kid glared and hissed at the man. Midoriya: Izuku, I presume, the way he said it was laced with venom. Izuku felt like gagging at the mention of the name Midoriya. She hissed and growled louder. Her hair raised and eyes red. Don't you dare call me that name. I'm not a Midoriya, she snarled and began to sniffle. Mommy, she began to cry. Aizawa was taken aback. The child was still grieving. He came back and killed her, she cried. Whoever you are, don't call me Midoriya. She shouted. Then who are you? Aizawa asked without the venom. By law I am Izuku Aizawa. She shouted at the stranger. Don't come near me or I'll claw out your eyes. Her razor-sharp nails were out as she bared her fangs. Aizawa stood there baffled. What did she mean she by Izuku Aizawa by law? Aizawa was tired. The first part of his mission was done. The girl stating her name was even more confusing. Aizawa was his name after all. He needed answers, but for now he needed sleep. He had gone over his shift and it was time to head home. Kid, why are you out all the way here? A lot of people are worried about you. Izuku thought of her aunt and uncle and Kitten. Those were the only people she could think about that cared for her. Sensing the man was no longer hostile, she calmed down, retracted her claws and deactivated her quirk. Aizawa didn't notice it was activated. It doesn't look like you got a place to stay. Izuku walked closer, sensing the man had no ill will. She liked his scent. It reminded her of home. How a stranger remind her of home. It had been a long month. She was tired and hungry. I don't, she blankly replied. Aizawa sighed and asked if the girl would like to follow him home. He felt like he was picking up a stray cat. That night Aizawa finally got the answers he wanted. First it was from Neo Mesa and then it was confirmed by Mistuki. Inko was Gin tea with his child. He looked over to the sleeping girl that was on the couch. Tears flooded his eyes and ran down his cheeks. A number of emotions was flowing through him. He didn't know what he feeling. Guilt, regret, joy, hatred for the man that caused all this and many more. When morning came, Aizawa had managed to compose himself, but only to some extent. He needed to hear the kid's story. He was making breakfast when she walked in. Morning, did you sleep well? For the first time in a month. Thank you, Mr. Erase Your Head. Aizawa realized he didn't tell her who he was. Aizawa, Aizawa Shoyuda is my name. Izuku stared at the man a bit. She wondered if this was the man her mother was writing to. I know it's quite early, but could you tell me what happened to you? Aizawa didn't want to wait. The kid looked down and clenched her tiny fists. Promise me you'll put Hisashi in jail. Aizawa guessed she meant Hisashi. He squatted to girl's level and placed a hand on her head. I will, that if I don't kill him first. That last part wasn't meant to set out loud, and so Izuku asked, you wouldn't have known my mom, would you? She asked, rubbing her eyes. Trying to stop the tears. She was an angel, and I'm guessing you're a cheeky devil, Aizawa said with a smile. The little girl chuckled, smiled as though it was the first time for her to do so. Mommy would always tell me that it hit her. She ran to her backpack and pulled out a letter. It was slightly crumbled but still readable. Mom had this in her hand before she died. Aizawa took the letter and saw it was addressed to him. He opened it, read it. Dear Shoyuda, it has been quite some time since I last saw you. How have you been? If you're wondering about, I've been great. You left with quite an amazing gift that I wasn't able to share with you. Her name is Izuku. Sorry for choosing a masculine name. But I was so excited thinking our child was a boy. It ended being a girl, a mutant of all things, but I'm so glad because she's so cute and mischievous. I just wanted to tell you that you have a child, so don't feel lonely. You don't have to come back. I managed on raising her on my own, but if something were to happen to me, I'd like you take of our child. I've always loved you and always will. Love, Inko. The letter hit him hard like a bus. She wrote it knowing something might happen to her. Aizawa looked the kid, who looked confused. He placed a hand on her head and ruffled her head. What did the letter say? Izuku asked, sounding curious. You don't have to live on the streets now. I'm taking you in. Mister, we just met yesterday, and now you're taking me in. Izuku asked. Aizawa gave a smirk and handed over the letter. Aizawa noticed the girl was quite smart for her age as she understood the letter. Tears began to well up in her eyes. Are you really him? Are you really my real dad? She asked, looking up to the man with big bright green eyes. Aizawa just smiled and brought her in for her hug. He felt hot wet tears soak into his shirt as his daughter cried into his shoulder. I promise you I won't leave you. Izuku began crying. She cried her heart and lungs out. All the tension that had been built up in her small body was released. The weight on her shoulders being lifted. Aizawa brought Izuku to the Bakugas so that she could see the only other people that cared for her. Mistuki cried and held onto her, and Masaru tried to save her from being squeezed to death. Kaken tried to hide his relief by being angry and calling Izuku Deku until she shut him by hugging him. Kaken thinks Izuku is a guy. Aizawa talked with the adults while she and Kaken go to his room to play. So you're taking her in? Yeah, why? She's my kid after all. But won't that hinder your work? You're a pro hero after all, Masaru asked, sounding concerned. It's only been a week since I've known her. She's mature for her age. It feels like she's the one caring for me, Aizawa told them, cringing at the thought. She cooks really good food given the right ingredients, and she forces me to eat and tossed out all my coffee. The Bakugas just smiled, knowing how the kid didn't change and the fact that she was taking care of her own father. Izuku is in good hands then. I mean, it seems you're in good hands then, Mistuki Bakugu chuckled. Izuku POV, I'm now about 14 and it's the last year of middle school. To change schools thanks to dad's work and so forth. I didn't have much friends. Just one though. She's a mutant type like me. Her quirk is frog. She can basically do all the things a frog can. Well, actually I have a bunch of friends everywhere. I say one which only one friend in this school of mine. There's Jairu and Kaminari, who I make cover videos with. We're quite famous cause we sing songs and upload videos on the internet. We have aliases. I met them at a concert and ever since then we hung out from time to time. There's also Mina and Karishma, who lives in my neighborhood. Karishma and I like to spar together and I like to dance with Mina. Many others I met separately and others I met through my dad's work. I remembered how I met a certain half and half kid. Shudo. I attacked his dad. Seeing a 12-year-old girl in boy's clothes attack the number 2 hero for stepping on her tail was a sight before his eyes that he probably would never forget. I had been developing quirks lately. I believed it was due to all the things that Hisashi injected me with when I was younger. The time when I didn't remove his eye. I even developed a sentient quirk. So-called quirk doesn't listen to me sometimes. I have a friend who has a similar quirk with the same problem. Speaking of quirks, I had witnessed a battle with a villain earlier. And then a new heroine debuted. I kinda didn't like her style. Izuku-chan, is there something wrong? She asked. I was spacing out as usual. Mostly thinking about the new hero that debuted today. There are always attention seekers everywhere. Showing of their DM curves and butt. She literally said butt quietance when she took down the villain and introduced herself. Kamui Woods had everything under control. Izuku-chan, you're just jealous, and also it's your own fault for always wearing boys' clothes and everyone mistakes you for a guy, with your lack and bust and bum. I was muttering to myself and Tsu-chan had to go for the knockout. I felt arrows pierce through my heart. As I fell at my desk, you know Tsu-chan, that really hurts. I told her, there, kitty, she said, patting my head. So what high school do you want to go to? You? Of course, where else? I exclaimed. I had said it out loud. It seemed to have drawn in attention. To many others we were two greenheads, though I had more black. One is a frog, the other is a cat. And most people think we're dating cause one of us dress like a guy. And that would be me. I like wearing boys' clothes. I do like dressing as an actual girl, but I don't trust skirts and dresses. And no matter what I wear I end up looking like a guy. A cute one to be exact. But still. Well, you have the best chance of getting in since your dad is a teacher, not to mention the fact that you're becoming quite op. Have you told your father about your new quirks? I hadn't told my dad yet. What should I tell him? How should I tell him? I never told him about what Hisashi did to me. DMN Hisashit. Next time I'll remove his other eye. I was walking home from school that day, reviewing my hero notes. I liked studying quirks, but at the moment I was going over the quirks I had. I listed then from strongest, DMNT, or easy to activate, or always active, to the lesser. 1. Feline, mutant. 2. Erasure. 3. Telekinesis. 4. Shadow Tiger, always active. 5. Volume 6. Sleeping Gas. 7. Pyrokinesis, fire. 8. Syrokinesis, ice. 9. Electrification. 10. Warp Gate. This is too strange even for me. To have so many quirks. I'm not op or anything, that's for sure, since I can't control some of these quirks. Heck, some of these quirks were really familiar. Shadow Tiger was just like my friend Tokoyami. Fumigage and Electrification was just like Kaminari's. Volume was just like Uncle Mike, and the Sleeping Has was just like Auntie Namuri's. Activated the same way too. The fire, even though I hate to admit, was like Endeavor, and I don't know about the ice. The warp gate, that I completely have no bloody clue. Telekinesis was definitely Mom. I found out about it when I couldn't reach for something, and then it activated and I was able to get what I wanted. This was the only other quirk Dad knew about. It boggled my mind, making not realize where I was going. Something filled my sensitive nose, making me want to GG. "Hey kid, you'll make a great disguise," a voice came. "Other a dark bridge." "Sorry buddy." A roar came and Shadow Tiger leaped out and slashed at the villain. Did I mention that my shadow quirk could also use my other quirks? Kage, as I called him, froze the sludge villain with my ice quirk. He can use the quirks that doesn't emit light. "The cold and dark, that is what I live for," he said with a smirk in his voice. His voice, low and booming, his way of talking was almost exactly like Tokoyami. Poor dark shadow. My useless knows not on how to take of herself. "My useless shadow knows not when to shut up," I retorted, poking out my tongue. "Fear not, for I am here. Why is the villain frozen?" All Might said, appearing. I began to fangirl and Kage just scoffed. "It's All Might in the flesh," I shrieked. His scent was strangely familiar. "Hello young man, can you tell me what happened here?" "Yes, All Might. It's an honor. You see, I was walking home and then lost my way while lost in thought, and then the villain came along and Kage attacked him and froze him," I said, pointing at the big black tiger sitting next to me. "He's a sentient quirk of mine and doesn't listen to me and can use my other quirks on his own will," I explained, and then realizing that I just spilled the beans. "Ah. That was supposed to be a secret, idiot," Kage said out loud. "All Might POV, right now I'm looking you Miss Aizawa and watching her beat herself, mentally, for spilling her secret. I honestly shocked that she has other quirks and haven't told anyone. She probably has a good reason for not telling anyone." Time was running out. I needed to get away quickly. I thanked the girl who was in a boy's uniform and managed to get the villain in a large bottle after having him melted. I leaped into the sky but then felt something wrap around me. I looked down to the girl and saw her clinging to her shadow for dear life. The said sentient quirk had wrapped itself around me. Enjoying the moment as though it was a ride. My time was up and I needed to land. I saw an empty roof and landed. "I am so sorry, All Might. I'll try my best to train him," the girl said, repetitively bowing in the right manner as girls and women do. I shifted back to my normal form. "All Might, wait, Yagi-san." She shrieked, confused. "What happened to you?" she asked, sounding concerned. "Really, you're not going to press on about if really All Might?" No, I was putting two and two together when you appeared before me," she said, pointing to her nose. "Well, I guess I'll tell you. The cat was pretty much out of the bag. I'll also inquire about her quirks. She already knew me anyway. We met on numerous occasions and we would talk about quirks. Years ago I got this. I showed her the scar that I got from All for One. Because of this I've slowly been losing power, and as a result I became like this. My current state must not be made public. Otherwise the nation would be thrown into panic. That is why my true form must remain a secret. Do you understand, young Aizawa?" "Yes, I do, All Might," she said. "I promise not to tell a living soul. Now what about you?" "Shoot," she said, turning away. Her shadow sinking back into her shadow. Now looking like a normal one. "Well, I kinda never told anyone about some of the things Hisashi did to me," I cringed at. "The name. He was a man that worked for my nemesis. I'm not sure what it was, but I think he had tested some drags on me, which is resulting in me developing different types of quirks. She was being experimented on and didn't tell anyone." I took out my phone and quickly called her father. She was too slow to stop me. "Who the bloody hell is it?" the man answered. "It is I, All Might, and Miss Aizawa has some explaining to do," I told him. "What has Izuku gotten herself into?" he asked as I was keeping the phone away from the girl, dodging all her attempts to snatch the phone. She had just confessed to me that she was experimented on when she was young. "What?" "I'ma be there right now," the man shouted and ended the call. As I did my signature pose dodging Izuku's final attempt to snatch my phone, "I thought you were a hero," she cried. "I am, that's why I called him." "That's cruel," I snapped. I took hold of her ears and pulled it. "You not telling those who care about you about your problems is far more cruel," I told her. "You have to learn when to ask help. The bravest heroes aren't always the one that run head first into danger. Many of them are the ones that ask for help. Sorry, All Might, I didn't want anyone to worry. That's why. You truly are the most selfless person I know of. I had been looking for a successor. Young Aizawa seemed to fit the image I wanted. Strong and courageous. Kind and caring. She has a motherly aura for some reason. An explosion suddenly went off. We both turned to see where it came from, then something hit. I felt around my trousers only to find the villain not there. SHT. I saw All Might panicking and noticed the villain gone. This was all my fault. Well, actually, Kages, but the idiot was my quirk. All Might, I'm going to go see, I told him before he could protest. I was already gone. Jumping and leaping of rooftops like a cat. I reached the site of the explosions and saw Tsuchan. She was being held hostage with another boy. I was perched on a lamppost. The boy was the one doing the explosions. He needed to be stopped. Tsuchan can't handle the heat. I erased his quirk quickly. Why aren't the pros doing anything? I looked back to the two hostages. One is one of my best friends and the other the villain. Slowly turned and dread filled the pits of my stomach. Kaken. I leaped of the post and started running to them, to my friends. To the boy, to my childhood friend. Many people gasped in shock. I ran straight for the villain. He tried to attack me, only ending up striking the ground. I had leaped up high. Fire is out. It will hurt Tsuchan. Ice is out, it would freeze everyone. Electricity, hell no, everyone will die. Voice, no, everyone's ears. What is up with these stupid quirks if I can't use them right? Wait, a hero has to adapt to anything and everything. The sleeping gas, I remembered. I landed and the sludge attacked again. I dodged swiftly, leaving my jacket behind, confusing the villain as it was now completely ruined. There I stood with a nothing but a black sports bra covering the top half of my body as I began to release the sleeping gas from my bare skin. This quirk was just like Auntie Nemuri's. The villain started falling asleep and letting go of the hostages. The villain was now fast asleep and I pulled Tsuchan and Kaken away from him. They were still remarkably awake. The pros then came storming in. Tsuchan gave me her jacket and helped me cover up. The pros had begun praising Kaken, who still probably didn't recognize me, and the other pros began to scold me. The press were watching. I'm sorry, pro heroes, Tsuchan spoke up, but why are you scolding my friend? She asked. The pros looked as confused as did I. Pro heroes are supposed to be heroes and risk their life to help others. Did you become heroes for the fame? You know there are other ways to become famous. Become an actor, for example. My friend here is the true hero today, so don't try and scold her. I never seen Tsuchan mad. But the look on her face was scaring me. I couldn't have said it better. My dad's voice came, making me flinch. I turned and saw him. The aura he had surrounding him wasn't friendly. Compared to the heroes that stood before him. He knew DMN well on how to figure out the best method to use in these situations. An underground hero. The best of the best. The pros knew who he was and didn't seem dare to approach him. You people should probably try and rethink your career choices, he said to them. Anger in his voice. This generation of heroes is almost a disgrace. Hopefully there are better ones in the future, he scoffed. Izuku, come on, let's go. Everyone looked confused. Azui, you two, I'm dropping you off. Yes, Dad, I said, my ears down and tail down. Yes, Mr. Aizawa, Tsuchan said and began leading the way. Kaken seems to have already left. I didn't even get to say hi. Everyone stood there dumbstruck, for they had just witnessed the daughter of Erasure had run into battle. After dropping off Tsuchan, my phone blew up. Future heroes, everyone online. Pikachu, oi oi, Aizawa, was that you attacking that sludge villain? Earphone Jack, I'd recognize that green ears and tail anywhere. Rock hard, dude, that was so manly. Pinky, did you do it for that boy? Stray Broccoli, how do you all know this? Sonic, it is all over the news. Emo Bird, that was impressive. Tailman, still it was really dangerous. Zuko too, why didn't you go for the eyes? You should have gone for the eyes. Like you should have done 2 years ago. Stray Broccoli, you know, Shochan, you have to stop holding that against me. What happened last time was accident. Honestly, Stray Broccoli dash weary face, why did I create this group again? Sonic, because you wanted to keep in touch with all your friends. Tape, yeah, you're the only one that knows all of us. Tape has changed Stray Broccoli's name to Kitty Kitty. Oh yeah, y'all still have to meet each other. Kitty, where y'all headed for high school? Zuko, to you. Sonic carrot earphone jack, carrot overdeveloped, carrot everyone. Carrot overdeveloped changed Kitty's name to underdeveloped. That's just too cruel. How could you loudly crying face overdeveloped? Well, I don't agree with my name earphone jack. Haha, Mayo underdeveloped changed earphone jack's name to not even developed. That's just wrong. Aizawa, when I get my hands on you Pikachu, neither of our developed Sardoi. Why underdeveloped and not even developed? And yeah, I kinda don't agree with my name either. FRDY changed FRDY's name to Cake Man Angry Pomeranian. Dipshits GOTO sleep already and stop blowing up my phone. Underdeveloped. Hey ya angry, you're the only one I haven't met so far. Do I know you Angry Pomeranian changed group name to idiots Angry Pomeranian? Go to sleep. Retards dads. Go to sleep before I call all your parents. Underdeveloped. How the heck did you get in here? Underdeveloped, HT is here. Night suckers gotta run for my life. Underdeveloped has gone offline. Pikachu, was that her dad just now? Everyone's scary. Pinky, welp rest in peace. Underdeveloped, folded hands. Pinky has gone offline. Everyone has gone offline. I had dad knocking on the door. I either jump out the window and scram or face the consequences. I'll take my chances and jump. The moment I opened the window, I dropped down onto the ground in shock. They were expecting this. There in front of me stood the pro heroes, Erase Your Head, Present Mike, Principal Nizu and All Might. Is this about the experiments that I kept a secret? Yes, young lass. Recovery. Girl is inside waiting for you. Midnight is also inside. The quirk you demonstrated today was just like hers? Yes, sir, I said, trudging back into the house through the back door. They all sat down around me and I began to tell them about what happened. Hisashi came back around the time when I was 5. First he acted sweet and all, but then he started showing his true colors. He said that there was something about me that resembled a Nomu thing. I sighed. He began injecting stuff into me. I didn't know what it was. Mom tried to stop him, but he would beat her brutally. It all kept on going until I got past and took out his eye, and then we're all here. So how many quirks do you have? Present Mike asked. 10. But if leave out the mutant type it's 9, but if you leave out the quirks I got from dad and mom, I have 7-inch, and I am one of them, Kage said, coming out my shadow. I was spawned from the depths of the darkness that lies in her soul. There's really no darkness there though, Kage said, huffing. Isara is honestly one of the most purest and innocent beings on this planet. I don't know whether to take that as a compliment or an insult coming from you. I'll take some samples of you BLD with me to analyze it back at you. While on that note, it is time for your scolding from far more experienced pros. The way you STD in front of the whole crowd is one thing, Midnight said. The BLD rushed to my head as I remembered what I had done. For the love of God, why on earth did I do that? Stop making sound lead. It was the best way so not to hurt anyone. I couldn't have said it better myself, Nizu said. The small white animal had a smile on his face as he said those words. Izuku will be given a recommendation and have a different test from the recommended and other examiners. What? Why? Because firstly we will start training you. In these remaining 10 months before the new year you will be trained by pros to help you control your quirks and see if there are others that will develop. So in other words, I'm getting a head start on all my future classes. It may not seem fair, but it's the only way to monitor your growth safely. A week later, Recovery Girl came back with the results. The news was pretty much shocking. I had the DNA of the people in me. These people being my parents, of course. There's being the DM and T ones. And then there's Enji Todoroki aka Endeavor Re Todoroki Atsushi Kaminari Yumiko Tokoyami Hisashi Yamada Namuri Kiyama and an unknown person, A/N. Atsushi Kaminari and Yumiko Tokoyami are Denki and Fumicage's parents. I don't know their names, so I'm making it up. My brain had stopped working. It seems that Izuku has a quirk that allows her the ability to copy another's DNA, allowing her to have access to the type of quirk the other has. All she needs is a DNA sample from another. Will the DNA last? Dad asked. Considering the fact that she had been experimented on at the age of 6, then yes. You could say she has other parents or relatives as well. That's wrong on many levels if you ask me. You're saying that cause you have Endeavor ADN? Exactly, that is wrong, I huffed. I refuse to accept it. Effin, there's Tokoyami and Kaminari. What the hell? That means I'm related to an idiot. Actually, an idiot of a brother is nice. Though everything is still confusing, you just have the DNA of their parents. It seems to have mutated and become your own though, so basically I'm a mashup of different quirks then. I don't know about you all, but I'm loving the idea of this, Midnight said, squealing. I get to finally have a student to teach the art of Stuckton too, she said seductively. I prefer to keep my innocence. Thank you very much though, I'd like to learn how to use the quirk. Uncle Zashi, you'll be teaching me to, won't you? I turned to see the man crying. Holy, I have my own kid, he said, hands together praying to the heavens. Get lost, she's mine, Dad growled. Well, you always have two parents. Also don't mention this to Endeavor. Never mention it, Dad told us all. That day was the start of my training from hell. All Might decided to make me his successor as well. Well, that's great and all, but I felt like I was becoming a bit up. Then again, Dad and the other pros proved me wrong. I was walking to a store and I was kinda bored, so I checked to see if anyone was online. Idiots group chat underdeveloped. Anybody alive? Pinky. Hey yo Pikachu. Dup Sonic. Sup Sonic. Here Pikachu. Hey, dude, did you have to correct me, Sonic? Yes, otherwise our friends wouldn't understand you. Angry Pomeranian. The way you're typing is pissing me brain dead. Why are you all so noisy in the morning, everyone? Zuko 2. It's 5 in the afternoon. Brain dead. I see. Underdeveloped. What's everybody doing? Angry Pomeranian. Running an errand. Tape. Hey, me too. Tape. Hey, underdeveloped, I can see you. I heard someone calling after me, and when I turned I saw Zero. Aizawa, it's been a while, he said. The guy was really tall. But Ida was taller. Thought to myself. Then again, Shuji was the tallest guy in my age group that I knew of. Dude, you like Lucasity? I've been training to get into you. How else am I supposed to look, Pikachu? Hey, come and do lead us, gang. Angie Sonic. Hey, come on, don't leave us hanging, Pikachu. The Hackman Tape. Ha ha ha. Underdeveloped. Ha 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 ha. Me and Zero were laughing at them while we walked into the store. After that we went to a coffee shop so we could have a conversation with everyone. Froppy. Where are the two of you at? Underdeveloped changed Underdeveloped name to Junior Erasure. Junior Erasure. We're at a coffee shop. Pinky. Is this a date? Tape. If you mean sitting down having some hot chocolate and reading and having a conversation with you guys, then no. Junior Erasure. Ha ha ha. No, not even Developed changed name to Base Queen. Base Queen. I highly doubt that Aizawa would do good on it. Date rock hard. No doubt about that. Angry Pomeranian. I highly doubt any of you guys would do good in a date. As I was reading through the messages, I looked up to see an ash blonde walking past the coffee shop. Ruby eyes and eyes glued to his phone. My brain stopped working as I was looking at my childhood friend. Zero tried calling out me, but I was too far gone. Tape. Oi, Aizawa just blacked out. Tape. Sich T, she's crying. Angry Pomeranian. Did you do? Dipshit Kakin was getting angry outside. Tape. Titch T, she's wailing now. Rock hard. Well, stop her. Tape. The heck, she's using her quirk. Octo. What's is going on? Tape. She's charging after some guy. The dude's too glued to his phone. Angry Pomeranian. The U dip. Tape. She collided with him and is crying. I couldn't help. After so many years, and now I get to see him again. My Kakin. He had collided with a lamppost. My arms around his torso as we sat on the ground. I was pretty sure Zero was confused, but I didn't care. Tape. It looks like a reunion. Froppy. That sounds adorable. Pinky. Quick, take pictures. Angry Pomeranian. Don't you dare. Tape. So it's you. Too late, buddy. I had clicks from behind and I turned and saw Zero taking pictures. I turned and saw an angry and blushing red Kakin. Maybe it's because for the first time in a long time I look like a girl wearing girl's clothes. 2. The realization that I'm a girl. Kakin, I called, smiling and pulling him into my chest for a hug. Without me realizing that Zero was taking a video. My tail wagging as I purred. Tape, guys, this is too hilarious. The guy is Angry Pomeranian. Pinky, share the pics. Tape. Here, Tape has sent pictures. Overdeveloped. This is too precious. Tail man. She's wagging her tail. Haha. Emo bird. Star-crossed lovers. Grapist. I'm so jealous. Octo. I thought it was something serious. And Vizzy. They are so cute. Fabulous. Very fabulous. Angry Pomeranian. Stop looking already. Tape. Oh, he is coming after me. I watched Kakin chase Zero. Get back here, you. He shouted as he ran after him. Junior Erasure. Tape is being attacked by my childhood friend Pinky. Back, read girl. I read back the messages and literally burst out crying. Froppy, you both been closer than you thought. Junior Erasure. loudly crying face, loudly crying face, loudly crying face. Suddenly I felt lifted up. I turned and saw my dad. I met Kitten today, I said with a smile. Good for you. Now let's go home, he said, giving me a piggyback ride cause I was too tired to walk. I read what was going on in the group chat. And then it hit me. Dad, why are you in our group chat? I'm in all of it so I can see what you brats are talking about, she needed to warn her friends. Only Tsuchan knew her dad was Erasure Head Junior Erasure. Everyone, when you enter, you run for your lives when you see a human caterpillar. He knows everything about you, I swear. He knows what we talk about time skip in the night. Angry Pomeranian. Deku, did you have Tio tackle me, Junior Erasure? How else would I show my love? Angry Pomeranian. Beach, DMN it Pikachu? Aha Pikachu, is he always like this Sonic? Is he always like this Pikachu? Dan it Tunic S top L relay Sonic asterisk DMN it Sonic stop already asterisk Sonic. Pikachu, is there something wrong with your phone, or is it just you? Pikachu changed Sonic to spell check. I don't see how this is an insult. Junior Erasure. LMAO Izuku's entrance exam was brutal. She had it a month before the actual exams. To fight Orca was a nightmare. She groaned and complained to her father about why she had to go up against the number 10 hero. It was scary as hell for. She only passed because she managed to hold out. The terms needed to pass the exam, and you can just do one, not all three, was 1. Not get captured 2. Try and capture the villain, in this case the bloody whale hero. 3. Escape. She held out long enough and passed her exam. She gave an earful at her dad with some quirk-induced screaming. Erasure Head got pissed, erased her quirk and tied her up in his capture gear and drove home while she was squirming in the back seat. The month passed and she was asked to be a volunteer for the UA entrance exam. There she was standing next to present Mike. Like her father, she didn't like the spotlight but had to do it. Present Mike called her up. Izuku recognized some of the students in the crowd. All of those who were in her chat group were there. Izu-chan will be explaining the practical task. Izuku walked up to the stage and began. Hello everyone, I am Aizawa Izuku. And if you're wondering why I'm here, it's because I had a separate exam from you all, and please don't ask me about it. She shivered. Just remembering it is giving me shivers. She turned blue at the podium and everyone's sweat dropped and didn't want to imagine what kind of exam. Anyway, she calmed down. There are 3 robots that will have villain points. On the handout that was given out you can see that each was given a villain point. The goal is to destroy as many robots as you can. Excuse me, Izuku recognized the blue head with glasses that called out. A bright smile spread across her face and her tail began to move happily. Hey there Tenya, she said with a smile. Some of the students melted from the cuteness, but there are 4 robots on the handout. You see, I was getting to that, she said, striking a pose. Being around midnight was getting to her. Unknowing to her, some of the males thought she was hot and some girls got jealous and her friends, while the angry ones felt like blowing them up. The 4th is a foe. Well, it's a 0 point. In other words, it's a big but obstacle y'all gotta avoid. Taking it down will grant you no merit if you're unlucky. I'll be hanging around mostly to monitor and probably stop fights from happening. With that, everyone began making their way to the practical. She was excited. She saw some of her friends. She saw her friend Ochiko and wanted to go talk to her, but then someone grabbed her shoulder. She turned and saw Ida. He was about to say something, but his over-affectionate friend jumped on him and hugged him. Giggling and being a cat, rubbing her head against his face and purring. She hadn't seen him in a long time after all. Ida stood still, frozen place, and some of the other guys were envious. Izuku finally let her friend go and Present Mike shouted start and the aspiring heroes were off. Izuku watched them go. Some guys were about to start a fight and so Izuku erased their quirks and separated them. She ran around doing the same thing. She was lucky she had Kage with her. Since they were connected through her shadow, Kage couldn't go too far unless there's shadows around to help him. Imagine Shikamaru's shadow jutsu. Everything was going well. Some people's quirks were not made for this type of situation. She saw her friend Shinso, for example. But the way he was using his quirk was admirable. He brainwashed a couple buff kids to help him move injured applicants to safety. He was probably doing it as a spur-in-the-moment thing without realizing he was bound to get a whole lot of rescue points. The exam was coming to its end. I ran around the corner looking for people to help. It was then I spotted Ochiko under a pile of rumble. And that was when I saw the big honking 0-point robot heading in the direction of her. And this was my reaction after taking some time to process what was happening. What the hell lol? She shouted and ran to the robot. She was aware of her friend Hitoshi Shinso ordering people to help get the injured out of the way. But at the moment she needed to save Achiko. Using her feline capabilities, she climbed up the robot and then jumped into the air to face the towering giant. She pulled back a clenched fist and with her being she yelled, "Smash!" as she punched the robot's head caved in from the force and blew back. Izuku's hand was shattered as she came falling back to earth. She curled herself up into a ball and shifted into a kitten. She always did this when she was scared, in pain, and when she has panic attacks. She was mildly aware of what was happening around her. She wasn't aware of being caught, a purple-haired boy that she knew but wasn't aware of at the moment. Her broken hand brought back unwanted memories. They only went away after the pain disappeared. She fell asleep in that form. 3 of her friends from her chat group stayed with her until she woke. When Izuku woke, she came face to face with Shinso Hitoshi, Uraraka Achiko, and Ida Tenya. "Thank goodness you're okay, Izuchan." Uraraka let out a sigh of relief. "What happened?" she asked. "You used a strengthened quirk, turned into a cat then passed out," Shinso stated. Izuku looked at herself and found she was covered in green fur and paws. "Tee," she laughed, poking out her tongue while attempting to bonk her head in a cut manner. Shinso turned red and Uraraka laughed. Ida, being the dad figure in her group of friends, just sighed. It was the first day of school. Izuku had gotten dressed and was ready to go, but was sure hell didn't want to. She wasn't a morning person and so she just laid there at the doorway in a boy's uniform. She shifted into a kitten and just laid there until her father came. She was picked up and placed in his scarf. And they went to Yue. Izuku found the warmth of her father's scarf comfy and warm and just fell asleep. Aizawa made it to his class. He recognized all of them to be his daughter's friends. He sighed. He knew how crazy these brats were. He didn't get paid enough for this. The class went quiet when he entered. He scanned them all and then said, "I'm Aizawa Shoyuda, your homeroom teacher. Get dressed these P uniform and meet me outside." "Mr. Aizawa, where is Izuku?" Tsuchan asked. He had forgotten she hidden in his scarf. With a grunt he pulled her out and handed her to Tsuchan. The class was confused, then reality hit them. "You're her dad." They shouted, all shouted. When in the changing room the girls tried to wake Izuku up. They tried everything. And so Jairu just stuck one of her earphone jack into her ear. The pain caused her to shriek, jump, and attach herself to the ceiling with her tiny claws embedded into the ceiling. "You could have just dumped me in water," she said, shaking from the shock. She transformed back and dropped, landing on her feet. "Hurry up and get dressed, and why are you wearing a boy's uniform?" Izuku gave them a bored expression and said, "I don't trust skirts," when they all made it out. Everyone seemed to be confused. "We're going to have a quirk assessment test. Bakugo, what was your record of throwing a ball back in middle school?" 75 meters, Bakugo replied. "Now throw the ball using your quirk." "I don't care how you do it as long as you use your quirk." Bakugo took his place in the circle. He brought back his hand and began his throw. He let out an explosion at the last moment and let it fly while shouting, "T." Aizawa showed the class his score. 705. 2 meters. Everyone began to get excited and then Ishido said, "This is going to be fun." Izuku face palms. "Fun. Fun you say? If that's the way then the last place is expelled. Anyone who half but this test goes straight home. That's not fair. You can't do that. It's just a ruse." Yayorozu spoke up. She sounded confident but boy was she wrong. Izuku placed a hand on her shoulder and looked at her with a very grim look. "It's not a ruse. This school is practically a second home for me. I have seen the way every teacher teaches. This demon is merciless. He expelled a whole class last year." Everyone was mortified and fired up. "The hell he'll put us all through," Izuku said, shaking in fear. All of Class 1A went pale. They had come here to be a hero and so they were going to give it their all. As the tests went on, Izuku tried to find ways to use all her quirks. Most of them weren't suited for the test. Only quirk that helped her was Kaya. Izuku wondered why her shadow was stronger than her. The annoying tiger broke the machine in the grip test. He came first place in the speed test, beating Ida by a second. The endurance race. both by carrying Izuku on his back much to her protest. Well, more like changing his emissary into a kitten and then carrying her by his mouth. Kage has control over all of Izuku's quirks. Even though he himself was a quirk, Aizawa had Niza do some test. Apparently Kage was more of a separate being, or something like a past life. Neither Izuku or him understood what was said, but then Izuku managed to come up with a theory for Kage. If is a past life, or a separate being, he took on the form of a sentient shadow quirk because the DNA of the Tokoyami family was in her. And so the separate being merged with the dormant quirk and became the shadow quirk known as Tiger. If you're lost, just go with the flow. I also lost myself. Izuku wondered where Kage got the power boost. And then it hit her, "You're using one for all, aren't you?" Izuku shouted. To all her classmates and father it sounded a squealing kitten. Kage had taken away human speech. Kage was her second dad. For some of the remaining test, Izuku used her own mutant quirk and mother's. The standing long jump test. She got the same score as Tsuchan but then used telekinesis to push her up further. And then it came to the ball throw. She decided to use one for all and voice. She'd throw the ball and then shout at it. And then scream at it. As she channeled the quirk and was about to release the ball at 100%, her quirk disappeared. She turned back and was suddenly wrapped in her father's binding cloth and pulled forwards him. His hair raised and eyes glowing red. Izuku flinched at the sight of how terrifying her dad looked. "You're not planning on incapacitating yourself with that quirk?" Izuku tried to retort but couldn't find the words. Kage, who was still put, rested in the shadows. Everyone watched at how harsh their teacher could be. It didn't matter if you were his kid or any other type of kid. He took zero interest in those with zero potential. Aizawa POV, I returned her quirk and sent her back into the circle. I wasn't going to be lenient. Especially with her. She was the future number one. The future symbol of peace. Her tail was down. Ears flattened against her head. I wasn't going to go easy on her. Or these other brats. Izuku looked like she was contemplating something and then finally began to throw the ball. I watched and was surprised myself. She waited for the last minute and let out the power she inherited from All Might. The power caused a sudden blast of wind and I quickly covered my ears and she screamed, "Mamam." Her voice quirk was easily rivaling Mix. I could tell she had poured all her heart into that scream. She must have remembered Inko and the things that she had always told her. "I can still move, sensei," this brat of mine said, taunting me. I grinned and pulled my hair back, obviously wasn't expecting that. I looked at the score. This kid. 1025, 56M, I showed everyone, "How many quirks do you have?" Everyone shouted. Izuku just told her friend that it was just popping up. They all wondered if that was possible. Shinso managed to have come dead last. Aizawa told them that no one was getting expelled. The purple-haired insomniac dropped to his knees. "I told you that this was a quirk assessment. Some of you have quirks that won't help you in these situations. So I also accessed you guys in physical ability alone. If you haven't noticed, I asked you guys to do the test twice. One with your quirk and then without." Aizawa showed another hologram, this time of how well most got through without using their quirks. The mutants except Hagakure were in the bottom. Shinso stood on the third spot. His jaw dropped. "You never did this before." Izuku screamed. Puffs of smoke coming out her ears. Last year the demon brats were too cocky and relied too much on their quirks. You may a strong quirk, but if your body is weak, then what's the point? You're a demon. The class shouted. Well, that's it for today. Izuku, go see the old lady, and with that Aizawa left. Oi Aizawa, how did you survive being raised by that guy? I don't know. After getting healed, Izuku walked back into the class. Oi Aizawa, I thought you'd start wearing a girl's uniform, Kaminari said, looking down. I don't trust skirts. Especially when there's the living embodiment of lust here, Izuku replied. A/N, I just can't get rid of my neta. I mean, what kind of comedy anime wouldn't have a pervert? There's always a pervert that makes it funny. Deku, I always thought you were a guy because of that, Bakugu shouted. We all thought she was a guy at first. Everyone said, how did you guys meet then? Kirishima asked everyone. We met at a concert, Kaminari said, raising his hand. Jur was also there. We went to the same kindergarten. Kirishima and Mina said together, my mother used to babysit both me and her when we were younger. Since my brother and her father were friends, Ida told the class. She attacked my old man, Todoroki said, silencing everyone. Oh, I remember that, Ida confirmed. Ah yes, that, Yamamoto added. Izuku POV. She should have went for the eyes. I was seriously sweat dropping. Shochan, please stop. I asked him, begging how I met Shudo. Dad had brought me to some hero expo. I had found Ida and his brother and started chatting with him. Yamamoto was also there. Her dad was one of the sponsors. She was already busted back then as well. I then got thirsty and went to find a vending machine. When I found it, I also found Endeavor and his son. They were arguing and Endeavor looked as though he was slap his kid with his flaming hand. I erased his quirk and looked him. When he turned, I bet he was expecting my dad. Hey mister, I thought you were a hero. I said, you erasures runt, he said, scanning me from head to toe. I was quite a skinny and short kid. Shorter than most girls my age back then. I was wearing a cap covering my ears because Uncle Zashi was the host of the expo. My tail was quite long and I was sorta dragging it. Is that your son? I asked. Yes, this Shudo. Why don't you show him around? He said, walking off. You didn't have to save me, Shudo told me. Tamizawa-zu. I introduced myself. I ignored his statement and stretched out my hand. He took the message that said I wasn't going to give a DMN about his bad boy tantrum and took my hand and shook. Todoroki Shudo. I brought him back in Ida, Yamamoto, and I made friends with him. Todoroki seemed to have made friends and I started feeling sleepy. I found a spot and shifted into a cat and went to sleep. The three began to look for me. My tail was sprawled on the floor and someone with a ridiculous heat stepped on it. In short, I went feral. I attacked the person that stepped on my tail, erasing his quirk, and went on with the scratching, clawing and biting. It took Ingenium, Erasure Head, Present Mike and 2 more heroes to pull me off. Forgive my daughter, my dad apologized to Endeavor. You should learn to keep your son. Wait, daughter, Endeavor outraged then stopped. You're a girl? Shudo asked. I was still mad while clutching my tail. But I nodded. Please marry me, he proposed on one knee, and that's where the flashback ends. I didn't tell the class that last part. Are you still considering it? Todoroki's voice came. I knew he was asking about what he asked all those years ago. Meanwhile, somewhere else in the city, if that cat child marries my son, then my grandchildren would be as strong and challenging. What are you considering, huh? Bakugo shouted, getting up into Todoroki's face. I asked her to mompi. Like hell, I'd let my end with that embarrassing information, ma. Mina said, walking up to me. She looked like a demon while shoving her face into mine. What is this I hear eyeing Zeeves Kenyuchan? She said. Could it be that he asked you to Mardash? Stop already, I shouted. Idiots chat group. Junior Erasure. Hey yo, anybody alive? Brain dead. No, I'm dead. Emo bird. Yes, I am as well. Pikachu. You both are always dead. Junior Erasure. I also feel dead. Floaty. Why? Junior Erasure. Training. Junior Erasure. Dad is relentless. We all will be dead soon. Brain dead. I have a bad feeling. Junior Erasure. Good luck, buddy. Dad is thinking about making you his protege. Brain dead. I knew it. Goodbye world. Pikachu. So what are you guys doing right now? Spell check. Pikachu spelling properly. Is this a dream? Pikachu. Demanded. Ida. Brain dead. Amao. Emo bird. Amao. Floaty. Burn. Haha. Junior Erasure. Making a video. Check it out. Those online quickly went to Izuku's YouTube channel and found a new video and played a video. This is to my childhood friend. I never got the chance to do something for him because we were busy and stuff, but he's the first on the list. I'm going to sing a song for all my friends later to thank them for being my friends cause I love them all. The group blushed and then called the others to watch. To Bakugo Katsuki. I hope you like it, Kaken, Izuku said with a smile and began singing the song. Bakugo was watching at home and blushed madly in the confines of his room as a pleasant smile graced his lips. A/N. Play, Vamps, Somebody to You. They watched as Izuku began singing and playing a guitar. Mike got it for her birthday. With every strum, with every beat, Izuku swayed side to side. Ever so gently, her eyes closed passionately. As she sang, her voice so angelic one could melt. Her tail swaying yo beat. And she ended the song by adding her own touch to the song by stressing with a hum, singing all I wanna be, all I ever wanna be is yeah is somebody to you, and thus she ended the song, and with her signature smile she said, thanks for listening. Junior Erasure. So how was it, tail? To pure emo bird. Heaven sent grapist. I can't, Midoriya, you're too pure. I'm sorry for everything. I'm sorry, brain dead. Wow, Midoriya has slain the impurity Pinky. Make me next junior erasure. Sorry, but I'm uploading one for Oka-chan right now, and with that they all quickly looked up the video. She was singing Kelly Clarkson, stronger once again, for she was singing passionately for her friend. Ochako was in her room crying her heart out because she never had a friend who would do this for her junior erasure. I hoped you liked it, Floaty. You're the bestest friend anyone could ask for. Everyone. We love you, Izuku. Izuku was now working on a song for Todoroki and just smiled and chuckled to her friend to see her friend's comment. Izuku was so lucky to have these friends. Izuku is screaming for her life, so is Kaminari. Kaminari holding a kitten. Izuku and his bolting down hallways as Eraserhead is charging after them. Kaminari was running at an unnatural speed that could match Ida's. They're laughing like madman as a speaker that was strapped to Kaminari's back was blaring out a song where it was only present mic singing, aha, and yeah hi. The two were caught and hung upside down at the building entrance. It was still worth it, says Izuku as sparks of green lightning sparked around her. Luckily she didn't short circuit like Kaminari, way. Says Kaminari with a dumb expression. Jairu and Bakugu, who had just arrived, took out their phones and took pictures. Flashback idiots chat group junior erasure. Hey, I wanna do something stupid. Pikachu. I don't care what it is, I'm in. Pikachu channels junior erasure name to Problem Child. Problem Child. Haha, Ameo. You got my dad's nickname for me right, Problem Child. I have come up with about 100 things to do. There's gonna be punishments in here. Pinky. Why are you doing this, Problem Child? Repeating history. Sonic. I cannot allow you to do this, Problem Child. But Ida, Uncle Tensei also did it. Persevering face, folded hands, persevering face. Sonic. Fine, I'll do it, but only once. Overdeveloped. What do you mean repeating history, Problem Child? My dad grounded me for no good reason and found this list of random SHT to do at Yui by Hisashi, Tensei and Shota, and so revenge, I'm going to do what he did. Problem Child. Wahahaha, face with tears of joy, face with tears of joy, face with tears of joy. Alien monster, alien monster, alien monster, alien monster. Zuko 2. This is stupid, Problem Child. One of them was PSS of Senpai's. Problem Child. Who do you think was in third year when they were in first? Beaming face with smiling eyes, beaming face with smiling eyes, beaming face with smiling eyes. Zuko 2. I'm in angry Pomeranian. Retards in truth. Bakuguus. Looking forward to see what SHT they were going to pull. End of flashback. Next on the list, race through supermarket in a shopping cart, says Izuku as she ticks singing in staff room of her list in the staff room. Present Mike is rolling on the floor laughing his head off. The other teachers as well were laughing so hard their sides hurt. Aizawa is rethinking his life choices. Why did he let Yamada and Ida talk him into doing all those stupid SHT? Now his daughter is walking in his footsteps. He walks into Nisa's office to apologize. Only to see the principal laughing manically. Now it's time for you to suffer. He laughs. Oh, and no expelling, he says, and laughs. This was revenge battle training. All Might came in shouting, coming through the door like a normal person. While everyone were in awe of seeing All Might, I was laughing in my seat. No one does that while coming in through the door. Also, I highly doubt anybody is normal in this world. After the me and Kaminari fiasco, both of us ended up with having to clean the classroom as punishment for the week. It was by Dad after all. The others didn't seem to want to punish us. Instead they gave me thumbs up and said to continue what I was doing. Even Nizu. As for Recovery Girl, she just sighed and told me to do as I wished. Anyway, today we are having a battle training with none other than All Might as our teacher. It was a simple heroes and villains exercise, and so we all got wear our costumes. I should have hidden my forms. Midnight stole my paper and completely changed my look. Ultra black leather like shorts. Well, it was a suit. The top half sleeveless and was a V-neck just reaching my BRST line. My whole back was exposed, black straps to hold it together. I had a gas mask and my very own capture gear. Of course, my red sneakers I love so much. I heard an explosion. I turned, I saw my Netta dead on the ground and Kakin walking away as though nothing happened. Though I wondered what happened. Wow, Izu, you look so dash. Please don't say it, I pouted. Well, sorry, it just caught me off guard. I thought my costume was embarrassing. Ochako said she wore a tight skin bodysuit. Hey, at least it's covering everything. The way I look, I think people are going to mistake me for an R18 hero. I sighed and then turned to Momo. Well, at least I'm not the most exposing. Also, I think I'm glad I have a smaller bust. Anyway, All Might put us into teams. I ended being with Momo. Hi. Whoever we will be going against will be dead. Apparently we were going against Kaken and Shochan. Okay, that might not go so well with their team, but the two are still powerhouses, so me and Momo might have a problem. We both were the villains, and so as Momo was setting up a barricade, I thought up our plan. Momo can make a gas mask and I can easily end the match with sleeping gas, but I guess Kaken knows about this quirk. Then I thought of something. I tell Momo the plan and she looks at me questionably. I just smile a devilish green. Anime horns poking out my head. Sticking around midnight turned me into this. No one can blame me. One thing about me, I can manipulate the quirks I have. So instead of releasing sleeping gas, I released something else, Todoroki, and then Kaken burst into the room. Glaring at each other as they walked in ready for battle, only to find something else, they breathed in the sweet gas I released. This only affects males only, making them see things that I don't even want to know of. Me and Momo just hugged each other, squeezing each, making our woman parts pop, and with the sweetest/slightly stuck voices we simply begged them. Please don't lock us away, we say with our most innocent looks. Whatever Kaken and Todoroki imagined caused them have jet-like nosebleeds and pass out. In all honesty, I did not think that would work. Me and Momo's jaws were dropped on the floor. I tied the two up with the capture tape and just like that we won. When we walked back into the viewing room, All Might were sweat-dropping. Mineta and Kaminari were passed out with nosebleeds and the other guys were jaw-dropped. The girls were laughing their heads off. Young Aizawa and Yaoyorozu, good work on using your assets, was all All Might said. The girls burst out laughing another storm and we finally joined in. With Bakugo and Todoroki, the two were still experiencing after effects of Izuku's quirk. Todoroki thought he would marry Izuku, but he was wrong. He fell in love with another. And was currently imagining the black-haired maiden in nothing but a loose yukata asking him to cool her down because she felt really hot, and there you go off with your imagination. As for Bakugo, he was imagining Izuku wearing nothing but an apron, sitting on his lap and asking to be fed with spicy curry. She was hot and sweating and he couldn't hold back, and there goes another with his imagination. To cut it short, the gas that Izuku released causes the male's hormones to skyrocket, causing the nosebleeds and the dreams. They had pleasant dreams that day, woke up feeling like they had hangover the next day. Izuku sat with her friends eating lunch. There was no pranks today. She had gotten a long and painful lecture from Ida. In her little group that was sitting together and eating lunch was herself, Uraraka, and Ida. She looked around and saw the other in their own groups. She decided to make a day for them all to bond together as a class. All of a sudden the alarms went off. Being the cat she was almost shocked out her skin. She jumped and attached herself to the ceiling of the cafeteria. Completely spooked. She was barely aware of her friends getting swarmed by the crowd of panicking students. Thank the gods for Ida. He managed to calm the whole school down. It took Dark Sato, Tokoyami, Kai and Shuji to remove the spooked cat girl. Later that evening, Aizawa was laughing at how the girl got so spooked and attached herself to the ceiling. The girl threatened to reveal all his dark secrets. That were not even dark but ridiculously embarrassing. The next day they were told they were going on a trip to a training ground. Izuku knew which it was. Poor Ida tried to tell everyone to line and sit accordingly, but sadly everyone sat where they wanted. Izu-chan, how are you able to have so many quirks again? Asked Su-chan. Everyone perked up at this question. Izuku went to her dad and asked if it was okay. Aizawa poked his head out and looked at all of them in the eye. What Izuku tells you doesn't leave this space. I find out if someone spreads this information, your career as a hero and other careers will be crushed. He told them all with a threatening tone. Everyone shivered to their bones. The cold tone and glare was something they never experienced in their life. Dad, I think you are going a bit too far, Izuku pouted. I have a hidden quirk. Whatever DNA I consume or is injected into me allows me to gain their quirks. That's how I got all my other quirks. That wasn't mutant 1, erasure, or telekinesis. But how were you able to gain the others? Izuku suddenly felt uncomfortable. Bakugo noticed and didn't have to think twice about who it was. I'm going to blow that piss's head off, Deku. He said, banging his fists together. The bus grew quiet. The killer intent the boy was leaking was different from before. Nobody wanted to PSS him off, and so everyone stayed quiet the whole way. Bakugo was mad. Not just mad, but enough for him to murder someone. And that someone was going to be Hisashi Midoriya when he sees him. Even Aizawa. Izuku telling the truth about her quirk reminded him about the blasted man. He was so ready to strangle the man the moment he sees him. Both these men were ready to rip the head of the man off. Izuku wants to avenge her mother. But they put all those thoughts away for now and focus on the training. 13 was there to help with the training. All Might was supposed to be there, but he had used up his time. As 13 was explaining things, a tingle ran up Izuku's spine. Kage came out and growled. Everyone noticed her sudden shift in mood. And then Kirishima shouted, "Cool, there's fake villains. Those are real." Aizawa told them all. Izuku looked through the crowd and saw him. She bared her fangs, her claws grew out. Kage was no longer in control of himself. Izuku was now controlling him completely. She launched her of the stairs to the one-eyed smirking man. Aizawa went after her. Hisashi didn't recognize the girl, but he did recognize the underground hero. That hero is Eraserhead, isn't it? Shigaraki Tamura asked the fire-breathing villain. He shouldn't be a problem. Say that after you face off with him. The girl and him look pretty angry at you. Villains thought the two clad in black were stupid for charging after them all in their own. That was till their quirks disappeared. The shock was evident, and when they met fist and claws. Kurojiiri was returning from scattering the students and reported that one got away. He was shocked to see their forces being wiped out. Hisashi Midoriya decided to join the fight. Izuku went after him. "I'm going remove you other eye." Izuku hissed and charged. The villain finally recognized the girl. She survived the streets. It just pissed him off more that now the girl was with her true father. The swiped after swipe, aiming for the eyes. The villain dodged. Izuku powered up one for all full cowl. The villain let out his quirk, breathing deadly flames. Izuku dodges out the way, and from above came Eraserhead. Hisashi managed to bring up his hands to block a direct kick to the face. Aizawa twisted midair and gave another kick to the head. The man stood his ground, but a knee came to his gut. The power was fueled by anger. Hayashi felt his quirk come back. He let out an inferno. Aizawa jumped away and met another villain. He really wanted to take down the fire breather, but the vibes this villain was giving off made his spine tingle. Izuku launched again, claws flying with kicks. Hisashi lost his balance, and the girl sent a power OFA back fist at the man. The BSTRD went flying. Izuku charged after the man and threw an axe kick. The man barely dodged. More green sparks crackle. The man jumped back to avoid getting electrocuted. From the corner of his something caught his eyes that made him smirk. "Nice to see you again, Izuku-chan. Your mother would be proud of you," the man says in an ultra-fake fatherly tone. It just made Izuku sick. The claw marks Izuku left for him, and his missing eye would scar him for life. "Don't you dare talk about my mother, you monster. Oh, by the way, you should say your goodbyes to your last parent." Hisashi pointed to behind Izuku. Izuku turned and eyes grew wide with horror. Aizawa was held down by the Nomu. Izuku had turned on time to see the man with light blue order the beast to slam her father's head into the ground. That was it for her. The girl snapped. The girl went feral. Her eyes became slits. Every strand of hair on her body stood on bed as her eyes glowed red with eraser active. Her fangs grew longer and claws grew twice their length with eraser active. Izuku charged, screeching and hissing madly. She got in close with the Nomu faster than it could. She slugged it in the face. The beast went flying as she stood prospectively over her father. She was somewhat gone. She spotted Shigaraki Tamura. She didn't recognize him. And so she charged. Shigaraki couldn't react fast enough. The feral girl latched onto him. He couldn't use his quirk. He was sure Eraser was down. Does the girl have an Eraser-based quirk? He wondered frantically. Izuku bared her fangs as she clamped down on Shigaraki, hissing and biting down, drawing a hole, a BLD. The man screamed out in pain. Kurojiiri immediately came to Tuesday Man's side. The Nomu came charging quickly. It ripped the girl of the villain, end her. Shigaraki ordered. The Nomu was about to slam the girl into the ground. She twisted around quickly but was too slow. The Nomu hit the earth and dust lifted up. Bakugo, Kirishima and Todoroki, who arrived at the scene, looked on in horror. Azui and Mineta had managed to get their teacher away and was retreating. The dust cleared up and the three looked on in horror. Kirishima already had years in his eyes, but Izuku was not where she should have been. Shigaraki was confused as he held onto his bleeding shoulder. Hisashi looked pissed. The girl should have been there. The eastbound have ended. The brat. Growling came and all turned their heads to see a misty green figure. The shape resembled that of a large cat. It was Izuku. Electric sparks began to dance of the misty figure. Back in solid form, the girl charged after the beast. The three shouted for the girl to stop. The Nomu threw a punch, but the girl dodged and latched onto its arm. Everyone looked in shock as the beast arm began to decay and crumble. The boys remembered what was said in the bus. But when did they saw the bleeding villain and cringed. Boy, did they not want to know what that felt like. Izuku dug her claws into the beast and discharged 1,000,000 volts. Todoroki had created an ice shield around them. The was screeching madly as she bit down onto the beast and unleashed all the quirks she had. Ice and fire came from all over, as did electricity. A green-colored gas that Todoroki immediately knew as poison. They had never seen the girl so mad. All of a sudden, a bright light illuminated and blinded everyone. When the light subsided, Izuku had gone limp, but the beast was still standing. It was regenerating its wounds. Bakugo launched himself to the girl. Todoroki created a shield of ice to protect him and Izuku. Shigaraki began charging. Kirishima quickly intercepted. The villain couldn't fight back because of his injured shoulder, but the mist began to attack, creating a portal for the Nomu and Shigaraki to grab them all, and right on the nick of time, All Might arrived. Hisashi Midoriya had long slipped away as All Might began to pummel the Nomu. The pro blasted the beast out to only God knows where. The other pros arrived and on time and subdued the rest of the villains that began to rise again. Izuku was out cold for the whole day. The girl underwent a couple of checkups. Bidding into the villains she may have taken in their BLD and gained their quirks: shock absorption, regeneration, and decay. The quirks are great, but when the girl woke up she felt sick to the stomach. Everyone had a week off from the school. The first day Izuku tried adjusting to her new quirk was horrible. She apparently disintegrated her pencils, the chair, cups. She feared for her father and her notebooks. She sat in room banging her head on her desk. She looked up and then saw a pair of gloves. Wonder where she got that from. Flashback. Hey there, little listener. Mike shouted, I got you a New Year's present. Present. Mike gave Izuku a warped box. The girl opened it up and saw a pair of black leather gloves. It fits snug as a bug in a rug. She loved the gift. Flashback, and Izuku thanked her uncle. Apparently her quirk is sorta like Uraraka. She can't touch anything with all fingers, and so she cut the thumbs and pointers. Now it was the gloves of the digital artist. She tested it out and it worked. She helped her dad out for the whole week, since his hands were stuck in a cast. Well, the man had enough dignity to do most things, but the poor man couldn't eat on his own. Izuku laughed her tail off and fed her dad. That until the man broke out cast to feed himself. The girl face-palmed and scolded the grown man about letting yourself to heal properly. First Idiots chat group. Problem child. How's everyone doing? Spell check. Well, I hope. I am glad you are doing well. Pikachu? Yeah, fine I guess. After going through that Pinky, it was scary, but dude girl you were awesome. Problem child. I can't remember much. Tired face. Zuko too. What do you remember then? Problem child. Bidding down on Shigaraki. Tamura. Then nothing. Brain dead. Wow, that was such a straight answer. Dadzawa. Go to sleep, there's school tomorrow. Problem child. Get your fingers back in the cast before I call recovery girl. Aizawa was just seeing who was blowing up his phone and found it was the brats. His students. Maybe telling them to shut up, make them stop. Tomorrow is school after all. That backfired as his daughter literally found him, shoved his hands that may not or may still be broken and have been forcing himself the whole day/week to use it, back into the cast and then tape them up. The man was then scolded by the teen. Well, that's a blow on the man's pride. But it did bring back pleasant memories of him with Inko. Izuku came to school, yes, still not trusting skirts, looking very, very annoyed. Izuku-chan, what's wrong? Suchan asked. You'll see, Izuku said as she sat at her desk. A minute or two later, Aizawa walked in looking like a mama. Yes, the erasure should be in a hospital bed. Hero is here to teach. Izuku could definitely read what was written on the man's face. And that's I'm Mother, raise her head here to teach with 2 broken arms you brats. She was so sure he was going use it against them. She can already see it Izuku's imagination. Sensei, can we please have a break? Kaminari whined, a break. Aizawa asks, a break. Aizawa asks even harsher as he realizes an ungodly amount of killing intent as he looms over the boy. He looks like a wrapped-up mummy demon. Comparing ourselves, do I look like I'm taking a break? I'm here to teach you sorry asses with 2 broken arms and you want a break? Pick your good-for-nothing sorry but up and get back to work or you're expelled. He shouts and Kaminari gets up and dashes off. You are supposed to be resting. Izuku shouts. Izuku sighs. Anyway, I have an announcement to make, Aizawa says, and everyone goes quiet. The sports festival is coming and so you all will need to start training. Sensei, why are we having the sports festival right after the attack? I thought they were going to postpone it or something, Azui asks. That would have been the logical idea, but doing it right after just shows that the villains, no matter how hard they try, won't be able to phase us. Since you brats survived, all eyes will be on you. Pros will see your capabilities and would put in request for internships. Aizawa explains. The day went by and then finally lunch came. The classroom was completely blocked. Get the hell out my way, extras. Bokuga shouted, don't call them extras just because you don't know their names. Ida yells, so this is the famous A class. Someone says. Everyone turns to see a blonde kid that looks like he has wicked intention. Ninu. Izuku says, her brows twitching. Her classmates shout, he's my older cousin on my mother's side. I met him once around the time when my mother was alive. She says her grandparents on her mother's side tried to rebuild a relationship with her, but refused to have any part of them in her life. The reason for that is very simple. They wanted her mother, sweet Inko, to marry Hisashi, and turns out the BSD killed her. No matter how much they will beg, Izuku wants no part of them. Sadly, her cousin is here. Strangely, the guy has a similar quirk to Izuku but with a time limit. Also, his parents don't have that kind of quirk. Could it be that the quirk they have was something inherited from a great-grandparents or something? Oh, if it isn't the Bakaniko, Monoma says mockingly. Bakaniko, Izuku says with a cat-like face while lifting her claws. Who are you calling a Bakaniko, copycat? She shouts, as if you're not one. The 2 cousins bang their heads together and glare at each other. Are all of Class 1 ABSs? A boy shouted. Izuku could tell they were Class B students. Of course not, she says innocently after what looked like electrifying Monoma. We are just the same as everyone, she says as she trots cutely to the crowd of students. They were blocking the way and they needed to go. In another universe, one of the members of Class 1A would have come to declare war. Shinso sneezes. They came to scope out the competition, he says as he walks out. Since we survived the villain attack and all, there's nothing much to do though. They can see our strengths during the sports festival. So please wait till then, and excuse me, I'm hungry, he says politely, and the crowd makes space for him. Bakugo just shouts and pushes through. Izuku is apologizing to all of them with Ida and Yayarosa by her side. Hopefully they don't go hating on them somewhere else. Tell me, Hisashi, about this child, came a static voice. Shigaraki Tamura sat at the counter of a dim-lighted bar and looked up to the man with killing intent. His shoulder throbbing from the wound the girl inflicted, not to mention, but the girl gained his quirk right after and used it on the Nomu. Kurogiri was on the opposite side whipping the glasses that no one probably uses. Tell me about the girl, all for ones came from the other side of the screen. It was only on audio. She's the daughter of Eraserhead, and the number 1 villain asks. Hisashi shook in his boots. It was come clean or die. She can hold multiple quirks in her body, but still function normally. It's a copy-based quirk. Whatever DNA she takes in allows her to copy the quirk that is within it, the man says, trying not say so begrudgingly. Well, if it isn't one of my descendants, all for one says with a smile in his voice. Everyone looks at the screen in surprise. Is he, or what are you saying? Shigaraki asks. Why, I'm older than many of you think. Of course I have children here and there. Though none of them carries my quirk. But it seems there are downgraded versions popping up in the later generations. Having the ability to copy and hold multiple quirks is quite rare, he says amusingly. Why don't you bring me the girl? I want to see what she's like. In fact, why don't you bring all my descendants? That's your homework, the man says, sounding very amused. Hisashi gritted his teeth and willed himself not to retort. Thank you for joining us on this journey through What If Female Deku Was a Stray Cat? We hope you found it as captivating as we did. A big thank you to the Weird10209 for creating such an engaging story. Don't forget to visit their profile on Wattpad for more fantastic works. The link is in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe to Zenin Fanfics for more intriguing explorations into fanfiction and fantasy. Your support helps us create more content like this, and we love hearing your thoughts and suggestions in the comments section. See you soon in the next video.